Hey guys, what's up? It's Danielle, so welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I have an updated pantry tour slash organization for you guys. So I just got done putting up this new shelving literally like 12 hours ago, and then I passed out. And I did this whole thing myself because A, I'm stubborn, and B, I know what I want. So I will say, out of all of this, my new mantra is, if you want it done, do it yourself. If you want it done right, ask a carpenter. Because honestly, the only thing that I probably did correctly for all of this was that I drilled into all the studs. As for things being cut evenly, I cannot, no, I can't even say that that was done the right way, because I don't have very many tools. Okay, I have a lot of tools, but I don't have a lot of power tools. So I was using a handsaw for a lot of this till I finally broke down and I paid $30 to, get like a little jigsaw. So anyways, I'll talk more about how I did this at the end of the video. Excuse me. But anyways, let's get started. So first of all, I have some stuff that I rarely use up at the top, or just stuff that, I wanted to keep out of the way. So that very top shelf has, on the left, my cupcake holder. In the middle, there's like some Chinette platters that I use so that when I go to like friends' houses and I make cookies or brownies or whatever, I don't have to worry about them returning my pans. Then they can just throw it out, whatever. And then on the far right, I have some extra Tupperware. It's just like large Tupperware that I can fit cookies and that kind of stuff into. Excuse me, in case I, feel like baking for people at work or what have you. But basically, the stuff all the way at the top, there are things that obviously I'm not going to be using all the time. This first shelf right here is basically the same as my last version of my pantry, I guess you could say, where it's all spices and also condiments. So I have all of my extra spices back there. I do have a spice rack that is out in my kitchen, so I just refill from here. And then in here, I just have some condiments that I don't use all the time, but once they're open, I have a rule that anything that's open has to stay in this pantry or my main freezer and refrigerator. Anything that is unopened is allowed to stay in my reserve pantry downstairs and my second fridge and freezer. Everything that I'm either using right now or that I plan to use in a future recipe, like very soon, is on this Lazy Susan. And honestly, I like to cook with butter most of the time because it does taste better. But, sometimes you need olive oil, and I burn through this like nobody's business. So I have different types of oil. And then I also have pepper because I went salt-free for the most part a little while back. This is actually like a little light that is rechargeable. And I just have it kind of sitting in the corner so that if I need it, I can use it. But I can pretty much see everything pretty well. It also, you can have it so that it is motion detecting or so that it's just on. So it really is kind of nice to have that option. And I love that it's rechargeable, because if you guys remember, I had that little crappy battery powered one that I drilled to the top of the pantry, and that was just horrendous because the batteries didn't last that long. All right, moving down, this entire excuse me, shelf is explicitly for drinks. So I really only have what I go through most often. And really, that's only two things. I make a smoothie, sometimes two, every single day. And this is what I use. So it's just peanut butter, flaxseed, some protein powder, and then some regular oatmeal. And then I am obsessed with lemonade. It is my favorite thing. So I buy these from Target because it's actually cheaper to get them from Target than Walmart. So I always have a ton of these. And then these are like the bigger drink mix packets, like, you know, lemonade, and I like peach iced tea, stuff like that. And then I have one of my can koozies, and this is actually like for protein powder. And I actually use this to keep my WHO ORS solution. So that's actually what these two things are for right here. That is, like I said, used to make the WHO ORS solution, which is cheaper than Pedialyte and Gatorade and actually hydrates you better. So I've been doing that for a little over a year now, and honestly, I love it. And then just on the far right, I have some marshmallows and homemade hot chocolate mix. But this is perfect because every day I always have lemonade at some point. So I can just reach in here, grab a packet, throw it in my water, and run. This next shelf, you guys might remember that I did have 2 shelves dedicated to snacks. Well, now I only have 1. And that's what this is. So I can't really split it between sweet and salty. So it's kind of all over the place. Also because I'm trying to use the bins that I already have just because I like them and they work well, and bins tend to be pretty expensive. So in here, I just have my, my little bags of chips for my lunches for work. There's also some crackers in there. I got some peanuts, and then this is actually like boxed cake mix, that you can use, to make like your own little baby cake. Like you can make a single serve. And then behind that, I just have a bunch of granola bars and, just fruit and grain bars, that kind of thing. In here, there's just cookies, candy, gum, Jello. There's also some, what are they called? Why am I blanking right now? Some rice cakes. There we go. And behind that, you can see I have peanuts, there's some crackers, and popcorn. So it is kind of split up between sweet and salty. It's just, I can't really keep it like half and half. So that's perfectly fine because I know where everything is. It's not a huge issue. All right, moving on down right here. This really has not changed at all, except I did take a couple of things out. So this shelf has like breakfast kind of stuff on the left, and I have these right here because those are supposed to go in my car. They're like my emergency car snacks. And I also have a can of soup in case I don't feel like cooking. I can just have that. And there's also some syrup, pancake and waffle mix all the way in the back, and some granola for when I make homemade granola. Some cereal. I did put my vitamins, supplements, and prescriptions in that little shower caddy back there. I use these, I have 2 of them actually, but I use these monthly pill organizers, and that way I don't have to keep reaching for this like every week. And honestly, it's perfect, absolutely perfect if you're busy, or if like me, you just have ADHD. This basically houses grains and like bread and that kind of stuff. So I have a lot of pita right now because I've been on a hummus kick. There's some tortillas in there and stuff like cornflakes at the bottom, which I use for breading chicken. and that sort of thing. And then the one behind that just has potatoes. So that hasn't really changed at all. All right, so down here, the main bulk of it has not changed. However, I am extremely happy with the way it is now because I've kind of spread things out and I've kind of reevaluated where, you know, things should be going and that sort of thing. So let me pull out this because honestly, whoops, this section is like my absolute pride and joy. So you guys know that I did this, I think it was like 2 years ago now, and it's almost been 2 years, I think. This has been a lifesaver. I bake a lot, and this houses the main bulk of my baking stuff. So it is ungodly convenient to have this. So down here, I just have these canisters that have my flour. So I have flour, unbleached AP flour, unbleached bread flour, and a backup, and then white sugar, some vanilla extract, and then some vegetable oil. Up here, I have everything else. I have another thing of brown sugar because this is the canister. So I always like to have a second one ready to go. If it's not up here, then it is down in my sugar bin, which I have shown you guys before when I've done, you know, tours of my reserve pantry. But, you know, stuff like cornstarch, powdered sugar, chocolate chips, cocoa powder. I have meringue powder back here. And then salt, baking powder, all that good stuff. And, you know, some box cake mix. All right. Now we get to my favorite part. Well, second favorite part. But I did keep these wire shelves because first of all, I already had it in my head that I was going to keep them. And second of all, it just works for me. So at the top right here, I have some like little odds and ends. There's toothpicks and different kinds of extracts like lemon, cream of tartar. There's clear vanilla. And then I also have vanilla beans. This second shelf has like everyday kind of sprinkles. So, you know, it doesn't have to be any kind of occasion to use them. And then I also have my gel food coloring. And then at the bottom, I have my molasses and Caro syrup, along with some birthday candles. I also have a fire extinguisher. This is a type K. So it's perfect for the kitchen. It's meant for grease fires. And then on the opposite side, at the top, I have some of these little goodie bags that are just like everyday kind of goodie bags. Behind that, I have different types of cupcake liners. This second part has seasonal cupcake liners, and then at the very bottom, I have my seasonal sprinkles. So honestly, the way that turned out is like my favorite thing, but honestly, nothing beats this. So I wanted to be able to like have enough height on this to really just be able to like have taller stuff. And now I don't have to worry about stuff running into my shelving or anything. So that's the end of the organization part. But I'm going to go through this with you guys if you're curious how I did this. So, like I said, I did all of this. Sorry, I'm trying to stand up. I did all of this by myself, and 100% it was a labor of love, as you can tell. So, the biggest thing that I knew, a couple of things, why I wanted to change this. Number one, you can see right there, those are probably my two tallest things, my protein powder and my oatmeal container. And really, I just wanted to be able to fit those on a shelf without having to tilt them to get them onto the shelf, if that makes sense. My old shelving was wire, and it had, I think it was like maybe 1.5 inch lip that came down. I don't know who designs crap like that, but I hate it. So yeah, originally I was going to keep those because I didn't want this to become too pricey of a project, but I figured I have the time now. I might as well make the investment, and here we are. So that was the first thing that I wanted. The second thing that I wanted was to have another shelf up there and not just have it be, you know, like the wire shelving that I have been using, because I feel like it looks super cluttered that way. So this definitely has been a game changer. The last thing that I wanted was, again, to be able to fit my baking cart in here without worrying about the canisters hitting the top of the shelf. So what I did was I based everything around the measurements that I had down here. So in total, I think this entire pantry is about 96, is it 96? I think it's 96 inches high. And I allowed myself 30 inches for this right here. Actually, it was 98 inches, excuse me. So I allowed myself 30 inches for all my baking stuff at the bottom. So I really only had 68 inches to work with from here on up. So I did have to make a couple of adjustments. The first of which was, as you guys can probably tell if you've seen my pantry organization videos before, I did combine my snack shelves. I don't need to have 2 shelves worth of snacks. Like that's ridiculous. The other thing is that, you know, smoothies are a huge part of my life now, as weird as that sounds. So I wanted to have a dedicated spot for all of my drink stuff because I am, you know, utilizing that a lot. And then the last thing, obviously, that I wanted was to have plenty of clearance between the top of, like, the top shelf and where the last shelf at the very top starts. So this was about I think it was $110 or $115 worth of lumber. I do have some left over, and I did that on purpose because I'm going to be doing one other project with it. And, you know, it's never a bad thing to have scrap wood around because you never know. I've done a couple of projects using scrap wood, so I never knock it. But it was about $110 to $115 worth of scrap wood, or sorry, not scrap wood, lumber, excuse me, plywood from Home Depot. And then I had a majority of stuff on hand. I had to buy more hardware because I ran out. So this is what I used, and they're just 3.5 inch hex screws. These are meant for like decks. And really what I needed was just something that I could use to drill through these 2x4s to get into the actual studs. So this is what I used. I actually had some of these before, but I ran out like right as I was putting on the last of the supports. So I had to buy one more. So that was about 15 bucks. And then I did buy a $30 jigsaw, which is why my shelves are not technically straight. But that's okay because, again, I did this myself. I'm proud of that. And, you know, would I do it again? Probably not. But, you know, for somebody that wants to get it done, but also doesn't want to spend a lot of money, I'm pretty sure that this is not that bad of a job. And it is, you know, my condo, so I don't really care. It's something I have to live with, not anybody else. So really, that's kind of my whole spiel, is that it doesn't matter how you organize it. Doesn't matter what it looks like. As long as you can live with it, that's all that matters. So I would say in total, This whole project cost me probably around 200 bucks. And that was purely with just buying the lumber and also having to buy the hardware and not having, you know, like enough tools on hand. I have a lot of tools, I just don't have a lot of power tools. So anyways, I'm very proud of how this turned out. I am super happy with the way it looks, and just everything feels so nice, and it's not pretty, but it is organized. I know where everything is. And yeah, so anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you got some inspiration from this. And yeah, I love you all, and I'll talk to you all in my next video. Bye, guys.